Oh, this is going the wrong way. There we go. Welcome to Tuesday night, Brock. I'm here at my workbench, aka the kitchen table. My family is in the back or in the den watching The Princess Bride, and I love The Princess Bride, don't get me wrong, but I need to get on this because I started the project. I'm not sure of those of you that will join in tonight. I stripped the paint and then I tried to dye it with some RIT dye. It actually did dye with RIT dye, and I want to use the rest of it, so I want to get this figure done. Let me see if I can bring this up. If anybody's going to join me live, I would be surprised. Be surprised. Oh, there's 8. What's up, Nightwalker? It's already New Year for you, I'm sure. All right, let me make sure I get this. One of my daughters got me something that will give me an opportunity to be hands-free, but it's my first time actually messing around with it. Well, this thing, it's a great figure to begin with, but I'm actually taking it apart. And for those of you that are joining me here, I'm going to show you what I've done so far to the figure. Let me see if I have to figure out which way is the best way to go so you guys can see it, because it's a little bit of a delay. And you may be looking at my fingers. I didn't burn myself or anything. That was from the dye job. I didn't wear gloves like a dum-dum. So I'm paying the consequences. So this is the head of the Sentinel. After I've stripped away most of the paint, I left the paint and the eyeballs, but I took off the majority, and it was cast in plastic. So what I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna get going on this figure, and let me see who's up in here. What's up, T-Man? Yeah, do you see that? No, not making wine, and those are not dirty. Oh, I hate having dirty fingernails, but that's all the dye. That's what you get for not wearing gloves. This is the worst that you guys will ever see my hands. This is awful. Almost looks like I burned myself. All right, so let's get going on this. This is the first time I've ever taken anything like this apart before, but these Marvel Universe figures, it's actually fairly easy. So you want to undo the strap here and the strap here, and this will go right over his head. How's the quality? Can you guys see? Lay this down to the side. What's up, Devin? This is, I think it's almost 18 figures, 18 inches. All right, and then one more thing on this guy. I have a short video that I released if you wanted to get the short version, but I thought that some of you might find it helpful to actually see somebody take one of these figures apart live. I certainly would have benefited from it, because I reached out to the custom community and nobody responded back with, yeah, I've done that before. So this one's a little bit tighter. There we go. It's just pegged in there. And I did buy this figure, and I haven't had a chance to give it a good wash. I just gave it like a general wash, but you'll see it's still pretty dirty from the person I got it. One of the concerns that I had with this figure is obviously the electronics, and Joey's just jumping in. What's up, dude? He actually has, if you guys know that the Galactus, the Marvel Universe Galactus actually shares the same body. And the way you take the head, you essentially just pry it open. Let me see if I can do it on camera. And he showed me, yeah, there you go. So the electronics on this guy, which is in the chest, and I'll show you that once I'm able to take the chest cavity out. You'll see the light. So the light is in here. It's protected through a few mechanisms, but we're gonna have to get to that first. For those of you that are just hopping in right now, this is what the head looked like, and this is what it looks like after you remove the paint. It's pretty much a clear shell. And I'm having trouble where, let me see, is it better if I go this way and this way? Then it's not really lit up, is it? Let me try to change the light here. There's a new setup, and since I haven't been going live too often, I'm not really sure where to set all this stuff up. So you guys are my guinea pigs tonight. Let me see who's jumping in the chat before I continue. Okay, very clear. That's good to know. Nightwalker, hey, what's up, dude? Hey, man, is in the chat. All right, let's continue on because you guys are here to see me take apart this figure. And now, obviously, I wanted to get the legs off the ball hinges here, and I tried to heat this up on the other figure, and it just wasn't enough. So that's when I started exploring, and the first thing I'm going to do is there's 3 screws in the back side here on the lower half that I'm going to take out. And you want to be careful when you're taking out because you don't want to strip the screws, which is why I have my handy dandy WD-40 that you guys can't see because it's not in the picture, but I'm going to have it here just in case I need it for these guys. So you want to get some of these miniature screws. My hands look awful. Can't believe I didn't wear gloves. So when you want to go dye something, make sure you wear gloves if you don't want this to happen. Hey, what's up, Matt? Happy New Year to those of you guys in the East Coast that are in the future right now. Right, you reached 2020 before the rest of us. I almost feel like, do I want to move it this way? No, this way. All right. I actually wouldn't mind it being over my shoulder, but there's no way to do it. My girls are watching The Princess Bride in the back, and they know I'm live, so they just put the subtitles on. You girls can turn it back up if you want. I don't mind.
We have captions on, we're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. She says they're good. All right, so these are completely loose, and I didn't have any problems with this set. I did have in the other one, the screws, a couple of the screws didn't want to come out. When you're doing these screws, guys, those of you that haven't worked too much on action figures, you want to make sure that you're getting the right size because if you get something too small, it will strip. All right, so the other thing that you want is you want a nice flat edge or something that you just have to be careful that it won't damage the figure, and just gently push up here just to get it to come loose, just like I did. And then once you're able to grab, you'll be able to pull it out. Oh, you got to be careful with the screws that are really going to come out. I'm going to set those aside over here. And it's always a good idea when you're going to work on something for the first time, and now you're getting a good look here of what one of these. Gosh, I don't know which way to move. Down this way? There we go. That's a little bit. Let me move this up. Change it up. No. All right. So you always want to take a picture of the insides before you start pulling it out, because then I'm not too great at this, but you just want to make sure that if you're not used to it, you know what parts go where. So that's what you want to do. And I did take a picture of the other one, but I kind of already know how this works. So there is the top half removed from the bottom half. And my only other, here's, you can see this right here. My only other suggestion is to get a plastic baggie and label it with especially these little screws. You don't want to lose the screws. So give me a second. I'm gonna go get a plastic baggie. I didn't have one with me, and so I can label it. I'll try to give you guys a different perspective too of where I'm working. Try to angle it so you guys can see it a little bit better. Be right back. Okay, I think that's actually a much better view than what I had before, right? Let me see if there's anybody that's joining in here. It's just my iPhone that I'm using, Robert. What's up? Matthew Sharp, what's going on? What's up, Jamie? So let me get these parts in here. For those of you that are hopping in, if you see my hands, didn't burn myself. That's dye from me messing around with this other Sentinel that I had, so I could dye the internal parts and actually the whole leg. But we'll get to that in a second once I move on. And of course, where's my pen? There we go. So this is gonna be, I'm gonna put, this is Sentinel 2, and this is from the hips. And now I know, because I am going to be working on both of them right now, or in the next few days, I'll be working on both of these, and I don't want to lose those, so I know where they're at. And so this is what I'm going to put into the hot water bath, so I can pull this apart, but that's going to come at a different time. And let me set these over here so I can work on the upper body, and you guys can take a look at what the upper body looks like when it's taken apart. So back here, we have a set of 8 screws along the side. Let me go back here in the picture. There we go. Now I'm in the shot. These are 8 screws right here. The 2 on top right here are long screws, and I got to remember that. I think I put that on the other one, so I'll be good. Butt screws, Joey says. So this one gave me some trouble on the other one, so what I am going to do, I'm just going to hit it with this WD-40. Oop! I hit everything with WD-40. I'm just going to dab it a little bit in there. I'm not going to do it on every single one because I really don't want this oil getting everywhere, because I'm going to be washing the figure anyway, but it'll make things difficult to paint later if I don't get it cleared out. That noise you're hearing in the background is my big dog drinking water. I like these way better than the ones that Toy Biz put out. I like the Toy Biz ones. I have a couple of them. I've had, I think, a total of 3 in the past. I currently have 2. They're boxed up, but they are, they look great and they pose great, but I think these have a nicer presence about them. They're bulkier and they're sturdier. This is just going to be a Sentinel. I'm just repainting them. I wanted to give it a premium paint job, and I wanted to use the Turbo Dork paint. And I was looking about the ones that I have, and I have quite a few of them, but I think the one that I want to use, because I'm going to go with a little bit more of a blue color here, more blue than purple. and I don't have that one, so I think I'm gonna have to order a couple more paints from Turbo Dork. Yeah, I'm gonna hit with this. Yeah, I messed around. I didn't realize how nice these were. Shoot, this one's giving me problems too. Let me go up here then. Sometimes what you can do when some of these smaller ones are giving you problems, use a flathead, and sometimes the flatheads end up working better. Yeah, like this one. It could have been a mixture of the flathead with the WD-40. I sure hope so, Matthew. I really like these Turbo Dork paints. I painted a couple small pieces with it. I did a gauntlet. The character name is Gauntlet, but I did the gauntlet with Turbo Dork paint, and I thought it looked really good. And it was my first time using it. And there's a small learning curve in using the Turbo Dork paints because they don't necessarily look like the color in the bottle that you paint it on the figure. Oops. Because they're metallic paints, and what you want to do with those is you want to lay down a black, like a high gloss black paint. And then this neck one is really stuck. Want to make sure I don't strip that. This one gives me a little bit more leverage. I did not. What's CD Super Guy? I did not watch that movie yet. One of my oldest daughter went to go see it with her friend, and she liked it, but she's not a Star Wars purist. I'm hearing murmurings in the interwebs that the Star Wars purists do not care for that movie. Okay. Yeah, the flathead is definitely working better, but it doesn't have as thick of a handle, and it makes it harder to turn. There we go. So all these are Phillips head screwdrivers. If you guys don't know what those are, they're the ones with a star. I just saw Jamie's comments that he doesn't like Y joints. You'll be hard pressed to find a better Sentinel figure, though. I don't think I think this is the best Sentinel in the market, and I think actually there's only two, right? I posed this guy around a little bit when I got him a couple days ago, and it's good to go. All right, so here are the neck screws. Next screws. I think I got all these guys out now. Oh, this one's not magnetized. So you can see the neck screws are going to be larger, so it's the very top, and that's how I labeled it in the bag that I'm going to use. I'm streaming on my iPhone. Nothing's fancy schmancy. And I am going to remove this, but I'm going to wait to get this off. All right, so like I got the bottom part off. I'm just going to use my, in this case, it's just a little thin piece of metal here. And I'm just going to start gently prodding. And just to get that separation. And there you go, it should just start coming apart very easily. And for those of you that have never seen an inside, if you didn't see my other video, this is what it's gonna look like. Let me go from this side. And actually, before I do that, let me put these screws away. I don't know, you guys know what size these screws are? The ones that they use in the Sentinel? I'm not good with knowing, because if I ever lost one of these, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't even know what to go tell the dude at the store. I'd have to take the bag with me and say, excuse me. All right, so I'm going to label this Sentinel 2 back. And that's done. All right, here we go. And this is one of the things that I wanted to see, because there's a piece right here that I couldn't figure out where it came from. I assumed it was from here, but I wasn't sure. So that little piece goes there, and that's what's going to help this. Let me see if there's a place to put it. I'm definitely going to have to play around with that, because once I put it back together, I'm going to need this to be clicked into place. And it looks like, I'm wondering if that may need to go the other way so that these fall into the teeth. But as far as these arms go, know that they come with this part, and it's labeled for arm number 2 on this one right here. And that's what goes into the right here for the arm. Let me put this aside. This one the same. And then what I wanted to check out, oh man. So this was in like this. I think I had this wrong. What the heck did I do? Oh. Funny guy. I was going, what the heck? It's not going back in. Well, that's because I had it on the wrong side, so that's how it goes. I think the wires were split like that. And the light goes up in there like that. Yep. That's just for me to practice. This is the voice box here. If you've never seen one of these, the insides of any electronics before, this is what has, I think it's like 20 different sayings in this thing. It's pretty fantastic. And the way that they do this, like I showed for those of you that were watching earlier, it's actually a clear head, clear Sentinel head that they've painted over. So when the light goes off, you can kind of see it there. If I were to turn off the lights, you'd probably be able to see it a little bit better. At least this light. So you can see. And then when it has the paint, let me turn this guy off. When it has the paint, it just lights up the eyes. All right, let me see if you guys have any questions on that. That's the first step in taking these guys apart, because now that I have it separated, it will be much easier to give it a wash. But before I give it a wash, what I should have done with the last one is I should have gone in and removed all the paint before I started before I washed it, because then I essentially I had to do it twice. I washed it twice because once I get that acetone on here, I want to wash it again. So I'm gonna set this piece and this piece out of the way. I think I'm also gonna set this piece out of the way. And actually, before I go set it away, let me take a look at what you guys are saying. And then I'm going to move on to the next step, which is just removing some of the paint that's on here. And the reason I want to remove that paint is because the layers I want to put, I don't want them to rub against each other. I want it to have the best chance at not having paint rub. So I am going to remove the paint that is on the figure. And then I may do dremeling, but that's not going to be in this live chat because I don't want it to go too long. Let me see. Let me run down the chat real quick. Cool Boy Scenes, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Ronald Quincy, you like the thumbnail? Thank you. Let me see. You never seen a voice box? Now you have. Chalk it up to experience. Put it on your tool belt. What do you use to remove paint? We're going to talk about that in just a second. And you got heart, bro, to be opening one of those. Well, you know, this is not the first time I've messed around with figures. I've been doing this since 2015 off and on. And it's just experience. And I had never taken one of these apart and never seen anybody take one apart. So there you go. Now it'll be recorded. Yeah. Do we have any more cotton?
Wish everybody a happy new year. For some people.
Some people, yeah, some people. My wife wants to wish everybody that's in 2020 a happy new year. She's gonna go get some cotton, and in the meantime, we'll talk about what I'm gonna use to remove the paint. You'll see that the paint will start coming off very easily once this goes on. This is just, well, I live with females here, so they paint their nails. Nail polish remover, and you have to make sure that the nail polish remover has acetone. Acetone is what is going to allow the paint to come off. The other thing that you're going to need some cotton balls. I prefer the pads. There's some nail pads, but I ran out because, like I said, I live with a bunch of females and they use this stuff. So we're going to begin with, I'll do one of the legs so you guys can see all that stuff. Let me get this out of the way as well. And this leg, which has been dyed already, I've already removed and dyed it. I'm going to move this out of the way so I don't get it confused. I also use, I'll need to use some of these, and I recommend that those of you that want to start working on some action figures, these guys right here, you want to get some with the tips instead of the regular, just the regular ones, because this helps you get into corners that you typically wouldn't get. So I'm going to put a few of these out right now. And by the regular ones, I mean these. They're not as useful for customizing. And I'm going to put on some gloves. Yeah. T-Man up in here. T-Man is an action figure reviewer. If you guys are interested in Transformers and all sorts of different types of action figures, primarily in the 1/12 scale, you should check out his channel. He just, I haven't seen it yet, but he will be reviewing a masterpiece Transformer that I'm very interested in. It looks really good. I may not be getting it though. It's the Jeep. I know him as Willis. He knows it as something different. He knows the, oh great, my wife found a couple, so that way I can show you what I mean. These are the ones that I prefer to use. I just feel like they function a little bit better, so I'm going to start with those since I have a couple. Let me see. Hound. His name evaded me because I ended up getting a Fans Toys version, which is a third-party company, and it was awesome for me. I enjoyed it. And his name was Willis. Obviously, it's not the original. All right, so the leg, just so you know, the leg is going to have this washer. And the way that that's very interesting, because in the other Transformer, this washer was face up. See? Like this guy's face up, but they had decided on this leg to put it face down. So I'm gonna think that it needs to go face up, and I don't know why it would matter. Functionality wise, I don't know why it would have the ridges up there as opposed to facing down, but the other leg, just like this leg and the other legs that I removed, had them facing up. So I'm going to assume that this was a factory error and they put the washer down wrong. All right, so let me get going on this. All you want to do is just put a little bit of the solution on there, and I'm going to start on the purple so you can see there's purple here. This is unpainted purple plastic, but this is painted right here, and so is the knee pad. So let's take this off, put a little bit of pressure, and you'll see this thing will start coming, just flying right off once the chemical starts hitting it. Matthew Sharp says he found my channel yesterday. Excellent. What did you see? Oh, the Mafex Spider-Man. Yeah. That was a great figure. I actually have the original one too. Actually, as you saw in that video, I ended up getting it from a friend of mine, Nathan Simmons, who incidentally also has a YouTube channel. And if you guys want to see a guy spend a lot of money on toys, go check him out. He's got crazy hauls at the end of every toy hunt he does. All right, so there you go. You can see one side is completely off. The paint is completely off there. Now let's use a cotton ball. Did I call this Sentinel a Transformer? I did not realize that. I'm multitasking here, and it's been proven that you can't really multitask, even though this isn't like high-level multitasking. I'm using some fine and gross motor skills here and talking to you guys at the same time, so My words are gonna get crossed up for sure. And English isn't my first language. That's always my excuse. All right, so this paint's coming off pretty darn good. And I do wanna just make sure that it's completely off, because I think some of the parts on the other Sentinel was having a little bit of problems taking the dye, and I ended up getting a RIT dye, and there was two versions of the dye. I ended up getting two colors. One, and forget about the colors right now, but one of the dyes was the regular product, and the other one was made for synthetic. The regular product did not grab onto this plastic, did not soak into this plastic, but the synthetic one did. I don't have too much experience dyeing action figures. I've only really dyed fabrics before, but in dyeing this figure, the synthetic one worked, and the other one did not. All right, so now let's talk about where these guys become useful. There's paint on the inside here that I can't really get to with cotton balls. So I'm gonna use this Q-tip with, and is this necessary? Not super necessary, but since I'm doing it, I might as well, since I'm doing a tutorial, might as well do it all the way. Because I am gonna be painting this figure in these areas too. And I may Dremel after the fact. This figure has a lot of clearance, so I may not need to. But I won't find out until, I've already checked it, so, and it looks like I'm gonna have clearance. But I won't really find out until I primer it, and that is gonna happen tomorrow. I may start going live when I'm doing some of these sessions just for a little bit, so people that don't have any experience can pick up some tips. I find it helpful to, if I'm about to do something, to actually see somebody else do it that has experience doing some things. I find it helpful, so hopefully some of you will find this helpful too. I think that's really all I'm gonna want to take off of that bottom part. And then there's this part right here was painted, and then all of this is silver paint, but this is just plastic that's molded in silver. So I'm gonna leave that alone for now, and I'm gonna move on to that part. All right, let me see if you guys have any questions before I move on. Yeah, going back up to T-Man's comment, understatement on Nathan. Nathan, he picks up a gajillion figures. Nathan Simmons. What's up, Jared? Hater Hunter. You're welcome. Glad to do it. So we're almost, so you guys are 2 hours ahead, I take it. For some of you that are 2 hours, that's that Central Time. And then those of you that are in the East Coast. All right, so what colors I'm making my Sentinel, it's gonna be, if you Google some of the Sentinels, they'll either be, the major parts will either be purple or like a bluish or a purplish blue. And I think there's a color that Turbo Dork has that I didn't get, it's called Cool Ranch. And these actually, the colors on the bands are pretty close to what it's gonna look like, and it may not come across, it's not coming across right now in the video. But I think that's what I'm gonna paint. And then the leg and arms is gonna be, it's gonna be a purple, but it's gonna have some more red in that purple, so it comes across like a fuchsia. I haven't quite decided, I haven't made a final decision on the Sentinel color yet, but that's the general idea that I have. right, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Yeah, you should. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's picking it up. Yep, it is. It is picking it up. So this one comes off. This was much lighter. They did not put too many coats of paint of the silver on the Sentinel. When you're using any type of acetone on the plastic, just to understand, look, I got it on my finger. I've been doing that all day long today. You don't want to let that acetone sit on the plastic for too long. So for something like this, I'm just gonna dry it with another cotton ball, because this is gonna get washed as soon as I go off. Because this acetone will eat through the plastic, some way faster than others. This is very thick plastic, so I'm not really too concerned about it, but it definitely has the potential. So we were having a scare for a while about how YouTube was gonna treat our toy channels. I haven't heard much of a murmuring. The last word has kind of been positive, that we're not going to get, we're not going to be so targeted, and maybe we were overreacting a little bit based on the lack of information that we were getting. And because especially there's no rich toy tuber except for that kid, and that's what they probably want to moderate, that type of channel, that Ryan's Toy Review. And not channels like this and T-Man's and some others. Oh, we're having a countdown. Somebody's about to have a New Year here pretty soon. There's a few in the chat that are already in the future. All right, so I think this leg, make sure I get some of this off. Oh, there's some right there. I really like this angle. What do you guys think about this angle? And it's out of my way. And in the past, when I've worked and I've shot this, I've been painting at just weird angles, and it actually kind of put me off to doing tutorials, live tutorials like this, because it was just really uncomfortable to work, and I ended up doing more work than I had to do. I had to go back and fix my stuff after I would get off of the connection. But my middle daughter for Christmas picked this little doohickey up that's connected to my workbench, aka the kitchen table, and it extends the my phone over. So, and as long as my internet connection is good, I think we can do it. So happy New Year to those of you in the Central Time Zone. I think it's 2020 for you right now. It is, yeah. Happy New Year. You know, in years past, when I was living with my parents, we would go to a Cuban club to celebrate the New Year's, and we'd be dancing the night away. But yeah, I'm not for partying anymore. Too old to party. Plus, I remember how I partied. All right, I think that leg is clean. Check it out compared to this one. You can see that paint is completely off. The paint's actually not bad. It's really not bad on the leg, but everything just looks so different from the paint. This is painted, they didn't paint this. and I feel that where I'm at with the airbrush, and I'm not super experienced with the airbrush, but where I'm currently at, I think I can make this figure look pretty darn good, and hopefully it will come out pretty good. All right, let me run down the chat before I move. Oh, look who's up here, Dude Dog. We were just talking about toy channels. Dude Dog actually deleted his channel and then restarted it. He's a fresh, so if you've been supporting him in the past, I recommend you go over there. He does do a lot of figure reviews and occasional kit bash custom. And he also does, you know, the breaking news. When he finds out about new action figures, he'll throw up a quick video on his channel, just letting people know what's up. I know there's a few of you in here in the Dewdog Pound. Let me see, anybody else in here that I haven't noticed that you've popped in here? What's up, Vic? Vic in New York. That ball dropped already, eh? It's on tape delay. See, I probably should have worn gloves on this hand, but since I've already dyed it. I think it's funny. My wife and children had a good laugh at my expense earlier. They go, "You have a master's degree, but you can't do the basic stuff." So true. So true. You're done with The Princess Bride? Yeah, you don't want to bring in the new year with dirty laundry. See you, Nightwalker. It's late for you. Cool boy scenes. Let me see. I think as soon as I'm done with this paint, I'm pretty much going to be done with what I'm able to show you, because the next step is going to be to heat up the water. So as soon as I'm done taking the paint off the leg, arms, and head, which will probably be, I don't know, maybe another 20 to 30 minutes, if I don't lose my concentration. So for those of you that don't know much about custom action figures, there's a good opportunity to ask me, especially if you're going to commission a piece. I've never sold a figure, and I don't plan to sell a figure unless I end up making a custom figure that I think I have the parts and it'd be somewhat easy for me to get it done. I may sell a figure like that. I thought about doing it for one of the Wolverine villains that I have parts for already. Of course, I'm forgetting his name right now. Not Cyber. What's the guy's name? He's got like adamantium arms too. It's something like that. But if you guys have custom action figure questions, I may be able to answer them. You can see even this step right here. I know I'm talking to you, so I'm going a little bit slower than I normally would. But this is time-consuming prepping a figure for paint, and I'm not even really going to be modifying the Sentinel much unless I decide to. The only time I'm going to modify here is if I need to. If I'm going to remove the shoulder pads to make it look more like some of the classic Sentinels. Like Jim Lee didn't have shoulder pads when he did his Sentinels on his X-Men run. And I think the cartoon also didn't have shoulder pads. Cyber, thank you. That's the guy. And I don't even know when I'm going to be customizing him, but I thought about doing him, and I go, I have parts for two. And like I'm doing two Sentinels at once here. They're both going to be for my collection, so I'm not selling the other one. But if I was going to do a figure, something like this, where I can work on multiple parts at once, I may sell a figure that way. But I don't take commissions. Like Symbiote Seeker was in the chat. He takes commissions. I don't know if there's anybody else in here. I may have missed somebody. I can't believe there's 35 of you. Or actually, I'm sorry, 39, almost 40. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This was unplanned on my part, and I really haven't gone live for a long time. So it's cool that you guys are hopping up in here and chatting it up. And to me, Snob, what's going on? Let me see what we got good. Have I ever made a black suit Spider-Man? No, I'm not. I like the Spider-Man figures that they come out. I think the most I would do with a Spider-Man figure at the moment is maybe do a partial repaint. Like I repainted the what was that pig's name? Spider-Ham. I repainted him. I don't think that I would find drawing those lines, even though I'm sure that it's not that difficult once you get the hang of it. But I just don't look forward to doing Spider-Man figures, and I'm happy with the Spider-Man figures that they put out. It's one of the few figures that I look at a Spider-Man figure and I go, I don't know what I can do to improve this, other than maybe, obviously if I was painting the blue parts, I can do shading with an airbrush. Same with the reds and stuff like that. But if there's sculpted lines, I can repaint the figure and I won't have a problem. But if they're not sculpted, I don't think I've trained my hand to do that yet, and I really, there's other figures that I prefer to work on than Spider-Man. So I don't think so. For Spider-Man, there's a bazillion people. Double Thwip Customs does a lot. Pounds does Spider-Man figures, and I would go to those guys and check that stuff out. And if you have questions for Spider-Man figures, those are the people that I would hit up, because they do a lot of them. Let me see. Everybody knocked out. All right, let's move on to, I need some more acetone here. You may not be able to see the silver, but there's a ton of it. But the good thing is, when they did the silver, they did not. I can see where some kid got a hold of this and wasn't careful. They'd tear it right in, because there was barely any layers of silver on here. Look at how easy that comes off. With the rest of the figure, like the purple, they had a ton of layers of the purple in there. That's not completely off. Cool Boy Scenes. That first time somebody said your name online? I think that's the cool thing about being able to go live. You can get to interact. And, my thought was, before all the YouTube mess started coming out, that I was going to go live. I was going to be Wednesday night, and I was going to call it Wednesday Night Brock. And I was just going to chill and chat with the people that follow me, because when I first started doing this channel, it was a lot of me on screen. I would do toy hunts with my family, and I haven't done those in a really long time, primarily because I never find stuff when I go out looking. It's usually my wife is the one that runs into stuff, if we do run into stuff. And the other action figures I get online, and I do my bargain shopping online. Which, by the way, if you have one of these and you want to get rid of them, let's make a deal. It probably would have been easier for me since the color scheme that I'm getting. I should have gotten the other colors, but this is what I found on sale. The crazy thing is, when I did some research for what the paint scheme I wanted, I ran into an Anthony's Customs video where he's reviewing these, and he says that they were on sale. The silver one was on sale on Amazon for 30 bucks. 30 bucks is a steal for this. And then the other color version was going for, I think it was 40 or 50. And that's when the Toy Biz version was going for about 50 bucks. So think about that. That was quite a long time ago. I ended up paying $60 for each of these. And I usually see them. That was the cheapest I had seen them. Actually, there was one that sold recently for 50 bucks shipped. And these guys are heavy. So to ship one of these probably cost 15 to 20 bucks just to ship. So the people selling it are not gonna, unless they got it for, you know, $10, which could happen. All right, so I think I'm gonna take off the gold on here. All right, so let's see what would you guys go on before I move on to my next. Eli Vader. Eli, didn't we make did I trade something with you like 4 years ago? I feel like on Facebook, are you part of the syndicate? Or am I thinking of some other Eli? Let's see. So N2B Snob is talking about, oh, he's going to remove paint from some Black Panthers to make G.I. Joe figures. Snake Eye. This would probably be easier to get to when I've taken the foot off, and taking the foot off is actually pretty easy. Let me see if I can, nope, I don't want to force it because I can't break that. This isn't painted, right? No, that's just plastic. And then he says he tried soaking it in 91% alcohol, but it didn't work. Yeah, try acetone. And the paint should come off like you're seeing it here. Sometimes you have to let the acetone just soak just a tad, and then putting a little bit of pressure will take the paint off. But you definitely don't want to let it sit for too long. When I before I started customizing figure, I had my mom paint some Transformers for me. Some of the cheap Transformer, what was it called? It was the Beast Wars line. Beast Wars, yeah. Transformers Prime Beast Wars. And they were made of super thin plastic, and she had used some acetone to take off the paint, and it just killed the plastic. Find what else are we saying here? Here's 2, you buy it online. It's going to be a repaint mostly, Eli, and then I may modify the shoulder pads. What do you guys think? Can you guys tell me right now in the chat what you think? Do you think that this Sentinel, if you don't know what it looks like, let me get that part. So I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna keep the shoulder pads or if I'm gonna cut them off. I talked to Weapon X Customs, who will be doing a repaint of one of these guys eventually too. I think he told me he's got like 4 of them. And he's taken the shoulder pads off, and I like the look, but I also like the look with the shoulder pads on. So I'm really undecided. Matt Stetson says, if you have one of those and want to get rid of it, just come to talk to me. Who wants to? What figure? What are we talking about? Oh, one of these Sentinels? Oh, I'm not, in case, just so we're clear, I'm not trying to get a free figure from anybody. I would work out a deal, a trade. Preferably a trade, because I need to be back on Brockonomics. Those of you that have been long-time watchers know what that is. Yeah, Matthew, definitely a super steal for something like that. But at one point, people didn't want it. And I think the silver scheme looks pretty cool too. I just prefer the classic looking one, even though this is not going to be an exact copy, because I want to make it look like a premium figure, almost like a sideshow collectible paint is what I want to try to do. If you guys have seen some of those sideshow collectibles, if you look at them up, they have 2 different Sentinels that they've done, and they are amazing. All right, so I think I'm pretty good with this one. Let me see. Eli Vader. Oh, wait a second. On eBay? I sold it to you on eBay? I did. That's one of the figures that I did a few of, what I was talking about. I made one for myself, and then I made a few others. All right, so let me get this leg out of the way. That leg, oh, you know what I didn't do in this leg? I just realized. I didn't get the crevices on this leg. And I didn't get these guys down here. Let me see if I can use this. You got overzealous and to be snob. Oh, when you were painting it. Yeah, I think I want them to look similar to that. But if you go look online and you look at the sideshow premium statues, I may go for that look where the like this part right here is kind of a fuchsia, which is like a purple that has a lot of red in it, or pink. And then the other parts, like where this purple is, it's like a royal purple, a purple that has some blue in it. Oh yeah, the wired cape, yeah. But Eli, going back a few years, we didn't trade. I feel like I ended up getting like a Greedo from you. Maybe it's another dude named Eli. that I think he was a young dude at the time. I don't know how old you are, but he was a young dude. And when I shot the video, because I was making a lot of trades with people on the syndicate, and part of the video was me joking around about him getting parents' permission to trade with me. All right, let's take off. So from experience, I know that this is plastic. This is painted plastic. This is just plastic, colored plastic that's molded in that color. There's paint here, so I'm gonna redo all that. And then this is paint. This is silver paint all the way through here. And I think that this is just plastic, molded plastic, but this is paint right here. Matt, they're exactly the same. I think there's one, the ones of Days of Future Past. As with anything, they've just gotten they're not as painted as well. Like the original release of the classic colored Sentinel. If you look it up, it's a darker, and I can't show you obviously because this is the silver one, but the other color scheme, if you look at the legs, they're darker, the original release when it first came out. So you may have the one that they released recently as the Days of Future Past set. I don't know how they were released before. They may have been just strictly released in the Marvel's Universe line, even though I think the Marvel Legends, it was recently released as a Marvel Legend. It was actually released with the Marvel Legends Wolverine. Yeah, so everything is exactly the same. It's just repainted in a different color scheme. Hope that answered your question. And if you would have asked me that question one day ago, I wouldn't have known. But the reason I know is because I did a little bit of research just to see different colors on Sentinels. And I had thought, like yesterday, I had sent out a message to all the Facebook groups that I know have customizers in it. And I asked, has anybody have experience taking one of these guys apart? Because I was nervous about the electronics. And obviously I was nervous about because it's thicker plastic, how long do I have to heat it up to get it to go? And nobody responded with, I have experience taking this apart. This is what you need to concern with. The only guy that actually was any help to me at the very beginning was Joey, because he took off the head of his Galactus and he showed me on a video. If he doesn't show me that, I don't know what I would have done, because I was thinking about heating up the head, but there's no electronics in the head itself, which was helpful for me to know. But that neck piece, I was thinking actually about heating this to pop it off, which is typically what you would want to do when you're pulling a head off a figure. But if you put heat there, you have an LED light that you can actually jack up, because electronics and heat don't mix. So that was super helpful. And then today I'm on there doing more research, because I'm still not, I don't know the exact color I want. And it's going to be one of those, I'm going to see what aesthetically pleases me as I'm working on it, and then I'm just going to go with that. But I found there's a dude that actually took it apart. He didn't take it apart like what you've seen here, but he had it taken apart. and I don't remember the guy's name. He's not actively posting to his YouTube channel right now. If you guys are interested, just look up Sentinel, kind of a similar title that I've had, and the video will pop up. And I was shocked, and he actually took it apart a few years ago, and he repainted it. And his repaint, the video quality is pretty poor because he's, you know, it's a couple years back, and it's not like a 1080p or anything like that, but you can tell that the repaint was pretty nice, and that the guy had some skill. But I sent him a message, and I'm hoping he responds back, because I'd be curious if he's posting under a different name or what's going on. And then one of my plans, matter of fact, Weapon X, he's having an Onslaught sent to me because I want to repaint that Build-A-Figure Onslaught so I can mess around with these Turbo Dork paints, because like I mentioned earlier, I really like the look of them, and I really like the red hood, that base coat that I did with that paint, and it really is beautiful. It looks so much nicer in person. But the red, it's called, they call it red rum. That red is not the red for Red Hood, so I had to modify it with other paints to get it to where I want, and it came out beautiful. But I go, man, if I can use that on a figure that has a lot of area, I think it has potential to look really, really good. And I thought Onslaught. So this dude that had broken up he has an Onslaught on there. He has an Onslaught on there that he custom painted. And that was a few years back, whenever that Onslaught figure came out. As a matter of fact, in the video that I watched of him, he had made his own, the head that looks like Magneto, because they hadn't released that. I forget what figure. You guys probably know what figure came with that extra Magneto head, because the other one's just the Red Skull head. That's the one that came with the original Build-A-Figure. And then in a different wave, I think that's when we got the Magneto head. Don't have to use. So what do you guys think about the shoulder pads? I don't think I trailed off and I didn't follow up on that. The one with Kitty Pryde, exactly, Matt and Corwin. You guys are correct. Man, if you can get those figures on sale, which I did a couple of years back, but then I traded away the Onslaught because it wasn't a character that I was that high up on, and at that point I hadn't read a story that captivated me with that character yet, but now I have. So I go, and I really want to use these metallic paints, and I think that's a perfect character to mess around with, because these guys have a few purples and that one red that I think I'm going to use for it. Get one of these. So there you go. Eli's got 4 Onslaughts. Maybe you can pick one up from him, Matt. Moises, if you're talking to me with these figures right here, it looks like you probably just joined up in the chat. I'm just going to be doing a repaint of these Sentinels, if that's what if you were asking me. So the plan is, like I mentioned earlier, once I take this paint off, I am going to go and put it in the sink in a tub. I'm going to let it sit in hot water. Not boiling water, but really, really hot water. The hottest that the sink can get. And then I'm just gonna let it sit in there for probably like a couple minutes, and then I'll be able to take most of these pieces out, not a problem. The only part that I was not able to take out in the other figure is I was not able to lift this off. But that's deep in there. And so when I go paint, this is a pretty large piece already. So when I go paint, I'm gonna have to do it in stages. I'm definitely gonna have to paint one of these halves first. The ball will be removed, but I wasn't able to get this apart, and I didn't want to force it more because I started seeing like stress marks around the, around the plastic. But these guys came off with a little bit of force after I let it sit there. Yeah, I hope you guys are right. I hope it does turn out to be awesome. All right, so Matthew is ambivalent about shoulder pads or not. He's not a huge fan of the X-Men. Yeah, Vic, you're right. Jim Lee does not have the X. But what do you guys think just aesthetically, like for your own personal taste, when you look at those Sentinels, what do you guys think? What is more pleasing to your eye? Yeah, they do add, I mean, it's already a fairly bulky figure. And one of the drawbacks of losing, let's see if I can illustrate it here. One of the drawbacks for losing the shoulder pads is that you see this part right here. And I am dyeing it, and it's going to get dyed purple. And I don't want to do dremeling in this area. I just don't want to. So I'm going to dye it purple. And the drawback is that you get to see this part. Whereas if I have it here, I mean, that does look pretty awesome as is, like that. I've seen them with both, right? Shoulder pads and not. I would definitely take off this number, and it looks like this got claws, like it's been in war. I wouldn't have done them like that, but that's how it's molded into the plastic. So otherwise it would look like, if you can imagine it. It's better to visualize it online. I should have turned it more towards the camera. I don't know. I'm undecided. Weapon X Custom showed me the one that he's working on, and he took the shoulder pads off of his, and it looks good. But I think it also looks good with the shoulder pads. I don't have to quite make the decision right this minute, but the closer I get to the final paint, I'll have to make that decision. I still have some paint to take off. I need a new cotton ball. Matt says, oh no, you already read that part. Corwin says the shoulder pads help that V shape. True. It does, Matt, I agree. Eli's not feeling the shoulder pads. It could make him look intimidating. Yeah, but I think I would definitely, if I was gonna, I wouldn't shave them down, I would remove them entirely, I think. Because I don't think I can shape it to look any better. So Vic says, I don't think the shoulder could do one with shoulder pads with. Yeah, that's the problem. Since I'm going to be doing them at the same time, what I'm afraid of is, and the reason I want to do them at the same time is because I want once I get a paint, once I start mixing paints, I kind of go with what looks right to me, and I won't necessarily know, oh, I added 3 drops of this one, 2 drops of that one, and yeah. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want them to look different. I want them to look, they have a, pretty close. And you'll see they will both look different to a certain degree, but I want that degree to be very small. Matt, that's a great idea. I actually thought about doing that. And I guess I could put the magnet here. You guys are seeing, I'm not a dirty person, I can't tell you how much that bothers me, but I dyed my hands. So this would actually be a fairly easy magnet thing to do here, but I would need that piece because I like how it sits on it, and I wouldn't want to put the magnet anywhere on here. I'd want it to be on this. And if I were to put the magnet there, then that this plastic piece is going into, because I would have to seal that off, right, to add the magnet. Then this right here would be, I think, an eyesore. It'll be like a little just sitting out there by itself. Just imagine that. It's just glued in there. Decisions, but that's that's a fun part about customizing. What was I doing? All right, I need to get back into this. I'll peek at the chat in a second. I just want to make sure I'm getting all the, and the silver paint is kind of difficult to see. And when I dyed the other figure, it was really bizarre, but everything else was dyed except for these parts right here. The part that I need to be dyed, this part right here wasn't getting dyed. It was just a bizarre thing. I don't know why. Couldn't for the life of me figure out why. I'll show you guys in a second if I remember to go and get it. Ouch. It bit me. I also thought about putting sculpt over this, but I think I'm going to leave it alone. All right, you know what I need to do? All right, this whole time I've been breathing in that acetone, and I could have had this on my face. All right, I hope you guys can hear me. Now I'm talking through a mask. So dumb. I don't know why I didn't put this mask on before, because I inhaled quite a bit of that stuff, acetone. I'm giving instructions that I need to pinch my nose. So it's really tight on there now. My youngest daughter, if you guys have Instagram, I posted what she gave me for Christmas, and it's this, she uses spray paint and stencils to create scenes, you know, nature scenes, heroic scenes. She's done Disney scenes and stuff like that. And she gave me a Captain America. It's pretty cool. The video I took it's going through the glass, so the reflection doesn't do it justice, but it's pretty awesome. But anyway, so she's got like a super wazoo mask. These aren't the super wazoo mask, but this should do the job that I needed to do. Ooh. Thank goodness I wasn't getting woozy just yet. Happy New Year, Larry. Yeah. Matthew, what type of shows do you like to watch on YouTube? Since you found my channel yesterday. It's funny because I haven't been posting as much these last couple months. I know you said you were looking at that Mayfix Spider-Man review that I did. Let's see. The Bird of Bloodhaven. What's up, dude? Haven't seen you in a while because I haven't seen Doodog go live. And I haven't gone live either. Thanks for stopping by. Is it New Year where you're at? Oh, mira quién está aquí. IE Hunter, what is up, dude? CD Super Guy is back. Hey, IE, where have you been, bro? Haven't posted any videos. ¿Qué pasó? Thought you were gun-ho there for a while. I'm gonna have to, speaking of work, my arm is absolutely killing me right now, my shoulder. I had a surgery a few months back and my recovery is going pretty poorly. I may never be the same again, actually. I'm not just saying that, but I've been pretty jacked up, and fortunately, I'm mainly using my like wrist and elbow here, but occasionally I'm moving my shoulder, and it hurts, man. It's pretty bad. I'm still in therapy for it. I don't know, man. It seems like the latest stuff that I read, and you're gonna see in my videos, the recent videos, I've been putting a disclaimer in the description that it really should go without saying, because shoot, I do not collect any data, and I know you don't either. None of this, the guys that do this type of stuff, that we're on here just as a hobby. We're not collecting data from anybody, but it shouldn't be an issue, because if you're not 13 and over, you shouldn't be using YouTube, right? I thought and YouTube's the one that collected the data, not us. But whatever. But it just seems like it's not going to be as bad as initially thought, but I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on the larger channels, because if they start getting hit with it, then yeah, I'll be sure not to be, I won't be posting anything else on YouTube. So I think that's done. Oh, the whole part right here is. How did I miss that? This is why I missed it, because I failed to rotate it. Thanks, Matthew. So where you been, dude? IE Hunter's funny. If you go check out his reviews, he's got a funny bit with why Hasbro. Well, I think Hasbro's has had a pretty good, in my opinion. But there was one time, I keep on shutting this light off on accident. That's one time that I'm watching one of his videos, IE Hunter's videos, and the dude's doing it without his shirt. He's got absolutely no shame too, because he hasn't worked out in years. I don't even remember what the heck you were reviewing, but it was funny. It was funny. I don't know if that was a bet that you had with some of the dudes on the Renegades, or good times, man. Good times. Go watch that video and you guys will see what I mean. All right, I think I'm good with the arm. Oh shit! I got a. Oh my gosh, this is longer than I didn't anticipate it was going to take me this long. Going you. How much, Bird of Blood Heavy, how much time till the new year on your side? Let me see, it's 10:48 here. And my family's watching movies right now. It looks like they were watching The Princess Bride, but now they're watching some caveman. What's that called? What are you guys watching? The Croods. The who? The Croods. The Croods. They're watching The Croods right now. So, and I can see the TV from here where I'm sitting at my workbench, aka the kitchen table. Oops. CD Super Guy, I just finished a red hood, a hood, and a gauntlet, a Mr. Gauntlet. If you have Instagram, check out my page there. That's typically where I'll post a lot of work in progress shots. And I post there pretty much on a daily basis. I'll post mostly videos. Sometimes I'll post some pictures. And then YouTube is mainly for when I have the show This Week in Customs, and then any tutorials, any live stuff. Anytime that I do live, I definitely prefer to use YouTube over Instagram. First of all, Instagram, like the comments are right on the screen, and I'm usually on my phone when I'm using Instagram, and you can't see jack. Darn it. I took it off and then I put it back on. But those were the last three customs that I finished. I have a ton of custom projects, and then things like what I enjoy doing is all of a sudden I'll get inspired by something, and then I'll want to do it, like the Sentinel. Boom, I'm gonna work on this. And it's definitely a taller order because it's a humongous figure, and I'm gonna be doing two at the same time. But check out my Instagram if you do have an Instagram. And then here on YouTube, I also do a show called This Week in Custom, where I'm showcasing other customizers' work. I go through Instagram, and when they post the ones that I'm seeing a ton ton of there. And they post to the hashtag This Week in Customs. I'll pick the ones that I feel are the better ones from that week, and then I'll just talk about them because I enjoy customs. The show actually became somewhat popular this past year. It gained a lot of steam. I received mainly a fairly, positive response from the custom community and the people that are fans of customs. And then sometimes I'll do, I wanted to do a top 10 list of action figures, but I mainly collect Marvel Legends. So I still may do a top 10 or top 5 Marvel Legend. I like what Joey did, JBR3. He had a top 10 figure of the top 10 figures of the decade. But I may have I like doing those shows mainly live because there's so many people that do them. But I like the discussion. And last year we had a really fun show with a group called The Other Guys. It's Doodog, T-Man 978, who was in the chat earlier. I think Tech Chucker was in it. Yeah, it was Nate Simmons. Nate Simmons wasn't able to go on that one. Plastic Addict. I think I got everybody in there. And it was a blast, man. We had a good time. We had like 150 people at one point live. The chat was on fire. We just had a really good time doing that show. We didn't do it this year. But I still may, in the near future, we'll see. I've thought about it, but get a few people that I personally know and I've interacted with throughout the year, just to discuss Marvel Legends and talk about the top Marvel Legends from this past year. I think that'd be an enjoyable show. In my opinion, I think Marvel Legends is the top line that people collect. It's the one that gets the most. It's the most accessible line to people. Because when you get into Transformers, for instance, you have Transformers. The Transformers that I like, you have to have deep pockets. If you're getting into SH Figuarts, Mafex, and stuff like that, those are pricier figures. But since Marvel Legends are at $20, you have a lot of people that can afford at least a few throughout the year, depending on where they're at in their stage of life. This is what happens when you don't wear gloves, guys. And just to make a point, look at the acetone will eat right through the gloves, too, the plastic gloves. 2 o'clock in Georgia. Let me go back to the chair. Where were you? I think I've answered a lot of those already. Stop talking and get to work. Yeah, you're right, Matt. No doubt. Well, shoot, I gotta interact with the chat too, player. There's some people that will get on and will do customs, and it's difficult to. This doesn't take much skill, right? This is just this is a gross motor skill. I'm just swiping away. But when you get to finer details, like if I was painting, man, it's difficult to talk and do that skill. So I've seen some guys that will just they'll just start working they've gone live. I think I saw Craig Work do this once, and he'll just work and work and work, and then when he's ready, because that guy is a true artist, then he'll stop and he'll talk to the peeps. True artist that guy is, man. My favorite customizer. He's doing some Super Mario thing that I don't care for. I'm not a fan of the line, but you can tell the skill that he's putting into that, man. The sculpting looks so good. I forget the character's name. I think it's the bad guy in Super Mario Brothers. Man, I really drenched the heck out of this. So the Hood is a villain that has the powers. He got his powers from Dormammu initially, and I ran into reading him, and I'm answering. Where was I? ZD Super guy, and I recently ran into him reading. I think it was Siege, or it's the whole timeline right after the Super Scrolls, or excuse me, the Skrull invasion. It's the time right after when Norman Osborn is the Iron Patriot. The Iron Patriot, is that what he's called? Yeah. And he's in charge of the Avengers, and he makes deals with all these, criminals. And the Hood, he was in charge. He kind of took over, like, he was almost the new Kingpin. I can't remember what happened to Kingpin. I think he died or something. I can't remember now. But I was interested in his character, and I thought it was cool, and it's actually pretty easy to make. The Gauntlet also in I can't remember which storyline it was, but it was connected to a comic book again that I was reading, and he was in charge of the Avengers Initiative team. There was just a bunch of rookie superheroes that went in training, and he's got his power is this gauntlet. Is it Kree? I can't remember where his gauntlet's from there right now. But I just like the character design. And if you want to take a look at him again, just go to my Instagram. I covered that on. Because what I did with that is I used a Hercules lower body with a what's his name? It's the Hyperion body mold. It's the gold guy, though. It's a Latin name. Not ego in me. What is it? Ex nihilo. And then what I did with him is I moved the neck, because that body is so anatomically whack that I felt like it needed to be moved. And then I used a Sentry head, and I converted into this. So a Sentry is a white guy with long hair, and the Gauntlet is a black guy with a bald head. So I did some modifications that I think it turned out pretty darn good. It looks like the character, and that's what I mean by it turned out pretty good. Thank you, the Bird of Bloodhaven. I did like how that Red Hood turned out, and the artist, actually the artist that drew the cover that I got that Red Hood inspiration from, he responded to the post, which was pretty cool. If you guys ever make a character and it's based on somebody's artwork, it's always a good idea to tag them, because if you turn out to do a decent job, they will sometimes comment. and it's cool for them. Just imagine if you did something like that, and then somebody using a different medium of art made that. It's pretty flattering. I'm never gonna experience that because I'm never gonna make an original character because I'm not an artist like that for sure. Let me see. Encino Man, no. IE Hunter, yep. Oh, it says, man, I'm way back on the conversation. Yeah, man, IE, that one did leave an impression, bro. Yeah, work. I really like his process of doing an action figure, a custom action figure. That's not me. Yeah, Eli, agree. Articulation, Brockonomics, and Marvel Legends repaints. I agree. Craig Work. You just have to find the name. If you Google him, you'll see him. You'll see his channel pop up. He doesn't post often, and when he goes live, he's been going live. I saw him go live this morning on Instagram, but I don't like Instagram for lives. I don't like the viewing experience on there. So I didn't even watch my favorite customizer. He's probably doing some cool stuff too. Plus this morning I was hanging out with my dad. All right, this arm's done. And then the final, the head, Voltron style. Oh, well, I also have this right here. So we are almost done, guys. I think I've been on here for quite a while now. And all I did was take apart the figure and strip some paint. I typically don't strip paint. What I like to do is just do a primer layer because it would make everything the same color. But with this figure, because I didn't want to Dremel, because I think there's enough clearance here. We'll see. That's why I'm stripping the paint. All right, so this is eventually gonna look like that. I'm gonna try to stay away from the eyes. So it looks like what they did with this guy is they had a layer of silver and then they put the purple on. So for metallics, that's typically what you want to do. I don't know if they used a clear purple. It doesn't look like they did. But for metallics, you want to do either a gloss black layer or you want to do a silver with a transparent paint on top of it. So if you're going to do like a chrome and then you would do a transparent purple on top of it, it'll give it a metallic look. But with these paints right here, with these Turbo Dork paints, they definitely recommend black, glossy black, and it does make a difference. There's quite a few videos on YouTube that talk about that, and they show you the difference. And it makes the undercoat, the base layer, makes a difference on how the color appears. if you go back to when I did the custom thing, if you go back and are you guys? Is this off? Did this stop? Oh no! Did it stop? Or are we still on? I can't tell. It looks like I'm off. You guys can still see this? Oh yeah, so the video's gone on. What the heck happened? Oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. Let me see. Okay, now we're back on, right? My phone had lost. It was on low power mode. That's what happened, and I didn't notice it. All right, so we're back on. Sorry about that, guys. So you guys heard all that. You just didn't see what I was showing you. Let me get it adjusted again. This is not the angle that I wanted. All right, so what was the thing that I was saying? What was the last thing that you guys saw? I was talking about the Sentinel head, and I was talking about the paints. What's up, Briscoe? So I was talking about this, and do I need to re-talk about this? I wasn't sure if you guys copied any of this. So you guys didn't see the head. Okay, thank you. So what I was showing you, let me just do it on another section. So what I was saying about the purple, and unfortunately I didn't catch that because I was looking at the head over here. That what I figured out that these guys had done is that they, as you can see, it's a clear head. It's a clear head, and then what they did was they painted a silver, and then on top of the silver they did a purple. So they're layering the paints, which is this is what you want to do when you're painting, and you want to layer thin layers of paint. I don't know how many coats they did. And what I was saying with the Turbo Dork paints, you want to lay down a black glossy layer because metallic paint responds really well to black undercoats. And when I go and paint this guy, instead of silver, I'm going to do a glossy black. And you will see it's going to be, I'm saying all this stuff, I'm hoping it's going to be an amazing result. With chrome, what you can do is, what I was saying is, you do a chrome, you can do a transparent purple or transparent whatever color you want metallic, and that's how you can achieve a metallic look. And here we just got to get rid of now that first layer of purple, and then down to the silver or chrome. It looks more like a silver. And if you were to look up Turbo Dork paints, I talked to the owner, and he recommends a black. And if you go online and you look up Turbo Dork paint, so if you're thinking about using these paints, and you may want to use the paints after you see some of the projects. That's what happens when you don't wear gloves. And you'll see that it just responds really well to black. That's a mad dash to the door. My dogs need to go outside to go to the bathroom. All right, let me see if I can recuperate here. That threw me for a loop. I go, man, internet issues again? One of the reasons I stopped doing the live sessions is because just kept on having, and some of you that are in here would come on when I would do the live sessions. And you know, this is, we're going back quite a long time ago, maybe even a year ago. I can't remember when the last time I did a live session was. But I was just having, every single time I came live, I was having issues with the phone, or excuse me, with the feed. And I end up finding out that it's the router needs to be rebooted. I don't know why, but there was some issue that, I don't know. So now every time I go, before I go live, I'm just gonna reboot the router to avoid any of those issues. Because it started becoming a hassle. Every time I was coming on here, and then the feed was terrible, and you know, if you're gonna watch something, you want at least a clear picture. It doesn't have to be in 4K when you're live, but it was just becoming too problematic, and it discouraged me from going live, and I stopped going live. And then recently I did a show with a few people. I think I had Joey on, and then I can't remember the other one. It was a couple times I had gone live when I was hosting, and I knew it wasn't an internet speed connection because I was doing it through the PC, and I was hooked up in. Look at this. I'm such a mess, and I can't stand having my hands like this, like OCD stuff. But so I contacted the software people that, not software, the service I was using, StreamYard, and they recommended I do the rebooting, and that took care of it. So I don't know if it's a buffering issue. I don't know. I don't know enough about that stuff to know. Other than next time I just reboot. All right, let me see if I can go back. Okay, so for the base paint, I'm gonna use Vallejo. I really like using Vallejo because I'm primarily using my airbrush to paint nowadays. Man, and this is coming out much better than the other head. I'm gonna have to clean the other head up. So I'm using, as the primer, I'm using Vallejo, and Vallejo has a ton of primers. Now, there's some people that hate Vallejo primers, using them with the airbrush, like Weapon X Customs. He uses Vallejo primers, but he hates them, so he's gonna use something else. I'm trying not to get, I don't want to take the paint off the eyes. I think that's the only paint I'm going to leave, because I think the eyes are fine. I like how the feature works. But this head is more cleaned up than this one, I think. It sure was. Does it show how long I've been live on your end, guys? The acetone happened to my gloves. So the stuff eventually I'm gonna have to paint by hand. The mouth, the inside of the mouth, the gears and stuff, the wires. Let me get back to the one I was working on. Scrub Daddy. But the thing is that, yeah, so the stuff that I'm getting off of this, all this paint is gonna come off. But what's not gonna come off is gonna be the stain part. Scrub Daddy will take care of that. Well, it's gonna be too late for me tonight because we won't be going to the store tonight. So Scrub Daddy, all right. What section is that in? Automotive? Home cleaning, okay. Stains are a small price to pay. So even with this mask, I'm smelling this acetone. Anytime you can smell the stuff, it's not good. So if you're gonna work on this, work at your own risk. I don't know what the long-lasting. It's not like I'm doing this on a daily basis. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't take commissions. I'm not working on customs every day. Every day. Sometimes I'm like maybe a few days a month I'll do, but so almost done, guys. 120 minutes. That's a long time. That's 2 hours. Sheesh. So I probably another couple minutes and then I'll be getting off. Thanks for hanging out. The 33 of you that are surprisingly still here and tuning in. It's always nice when I'm doing stuff like this, I can stay on for a while. If I'm doing more detailed stuff, it's really hard for me to concentrate and get that done. That's why I'll typically put the detailed stuff out on, I'll record those videos and edit those, the custom showcases. But now you guys at least know a couple of things that you could do for custom action figures if you're ever wanting to do it. And like I mentioned before, I typically just prime the figure. I'll prep it for paint by dremeling the parts that are going to, that I know are gonna rub paint. I'll Dremel those down, and I have videos of me doing dremeling. And then after that, I just I primer the figure and then paint on top of it. Because once you get over the paint rub, then you're good. There's some people that do what I'm doing every single time. I just couldn't imagine taking the paint off. For every single figure. This one I see that it could definitely be beneficial. And then after you're done painting, and actually even during the painting process, you can lay down a layer of gloss coat. And I'm using Vallejo products mostly. And what the gloss coat does is it protects the paint. And then you can paint on top of the gloss coat. So when you paint on top of the gloss coat, you know, you can add washes and highlights and whatever, and then you can put another finish on top of that after you're done adding it. It just it protects the layers all the way through. Some people are able to, you know, if they screw something up, they can go back and then fix it. Usually when I screw something up, it's big and I have to redo major parts. All right, so I think that's it, guys. I think, oh yeah, well actually, I have to do this, but I'm gonna do this later. Turn this back around here. All right, guys, so that is it for tonight. Thanks again for hanging out, and I'll see you on the next one. Happy New Year to you. What time is it here? Oh, we still got about 38 minutes. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.